Hello, folks. Here I am again, alone in my little studio here, trying to find out if Video Guy's in the house. And if you see this Video Guy was in the house. And if you don't, he wasn't, and you'll not see it. So you'll never miss it. But I will have tried and failed at something. Whatever. There's no I to it. If Video Guy comes or he doesn't. So let's just pretend that Video Guy's here, and let's go forward as if we were going to cut a video. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is the driving force behind virtually all awakenings. Not all of them, but behind every awakening that I have ever had a hand in. I will tell you that. I know, that I actually helped someone to come to. I've talked to other people who woke up on their own, who didn't seem to be in such a suffering position. It was just the clock ran out, whatever, I don't know, but they got hit with a bolt of lightning. They woke up sitting at their desk or walking down the street or whatever it is, and they got what you and I looked for 24 years, they got for nothing, right? And I have several clients that this happened to. It's so unfair, but it's just the way it happens. But when people come here, when they come to me for assistance, there's always one driving factor, and that's suffering, right? That's it. And if you don't have enough suffering, if you haven't suffered enough, you're not going to wake up. You're just not going to wake up. It just won't work. And the reason it won't work, if you have to play a role in it, is that there has to have been enough suffering that you can tell yourself, I'm not saying what you are, but that you can tell yourself the truth when it's presented to you. Now, there's no Fred and there's no you, so what in the hell am I talking about? Well, I'm really talking about awakeness. Awakeness is in denial. That's what's happening. Awakeness is in denial around the world, and we hear rumors that awakeness is ceasing to be in such denial. I don't know. I know that awakeness doesn't stay in denial long around me. That's the only thing I can declare. But what's happening in the rest of the world, I really don't know, because it just seems to me like everybody's waking up, because the people I talk to are. But I don't know that that's universal. I don't know that that's like a broadly experienced thing or not. It may be. I really don't know. But the people who come to me, they come to me and they're suffering, and they have suffered enough. I haven't had anybody come to me in some time that hasn't suffered enough. I had one guy recently. He kind of still had some suffering left to do. He woke up, but not as clearly as I would have liked to have seen. But he woke up. Awakeness was awake over there. So awakeness is in denial. And when awakeness is in denial, it's another way of saying awakeness thinks it's one of these. And when awakeness thinks it's one of these, suffering comes. It's just unavoidable. Because when you think you're one of these, you're only seeing from this one little tiny, tiny sliver of a universe-sized experience. You're seeing from one little tiny sliver, and you are declaring that every unit is declaring that it's the center of the universe, right? That's what it does. That's what it feels like, isn't it? Look around. I'm in the middle of everything here. And everywhere I go, I'm in the middle, and you'll have the same experience. We're slaves to our eyes, and it's very hard to overcome that. The only thing that's gonna overcome that, the slave to the eye thing and the slave to the brain thing, is gonna be adequate suffering. And adequate suffering means typically a whole hell of a lot of really tough suffering. But you don't have to suffer like I did. Very few people would have to suffer like I did. That's the truth. And I'm not trying to say, I suffered the most of anybody ever. I haven't. But as a seeker, and what I went through to get to this chair, and when it worked for me, but I wouldn't wish it on anybody else. right? Because most of them would die before they got to this seat. That's the truth of it. That this unit was just a lucky unit. We don't know why. People who have suffered enough get a rare gift. You wouldn't think it would be so rare, but it is. The rare gift that people receive prior to calling me, or waking up through some other means. It's not like I got a lock on the market. Is that they have suffered enough, so they get the gift of desperation. That's what it really takes, is desperation. Now, I put up a high bar. I really do. It's expensive to talk to me, and you can't believe that what I do is for real. I'm not trying to promote sessions. I'm just trying to tell you about my life. I get plenty of sessions, trust me. And but the gift of desperation, that's who I'm looking for, is people who've gotten the gift of desperation. See, not people who are just curious about, well, do you mean this, or you mean that, or what do you mean when you say this, or what do you mean when you say that? I mean, it's just, you can't imagine. I know that they can't see it, but from my point of view, this is just absolute insanity, right? Because those people aren't ready to wake up. They don't need me. The people who need me are the people who say, I don't care what it looks like. I don't care if he might be a phony. I don't care if it might not work. I don't care. I've got to try it. I'm so desperate that I'll even try this guy. And that's the truth. That's what it takes. So I keep a high bar monetarily, because it sort of sifts out the people. I can't meet with everybody who wants to meet with me. It would be impossible. I mean, I would be meeting with people day and night with no sleep for the rest of my life, and then I'd die. Still not having saved the world. So I know there's no save the world complex here, and I know that there is, that many people out there think I should have a save the world thing going on over here, but I don't. I mean, I don't talk about this to strangers. I won't talk to anybody about this unless they pay me. Isn't that awful? But I don't have a zeal to talk about this unless I'm in front of a serious person. And a serious person is going to be a person who's suffered enough that they have received the gift of desperation. So just as a quick aside, I just looked over and I saw this note, and this is insane to introduce this, but you've already seen I'm pretty wacky. So just so you know, is that one of my students is now taking quotes and putting them with photographs and putting up on on Instagram. And if you want to follow me over there and see these quotes, you can go to Instagram/Awakening Clarity Now, and you'll be able to find it. If you miss that, just go to the website, go to awakeningclaritynow.com, and you'll see the links. Okay, let's get back to our video. And now that the ad is over, but I mean, it was an ad for a free thing, so give me a break. Huh? So the gift of desperation is when you will do whatever it takes to wake up. That's what it means. Whatever it takes. Because what it does take is the ultimate. It really does. It takes your individual life. I sometimes have people tell me, I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna wake up if it kills me. And I'm just telling them, well, that's good attitude, because if you wake up, it is going to kill you. And it's not going to kill that unit over there. It's not even going to kill the ego, but it is going to give it a really good knockout punch, and so that it is not available. The ego is not present for a period of time, and there's really no ego as such. God Almighty, it's so tough to try, to sit here and try to tell the truth when I know that every word that leaves these lips will be a lie. Every word that leaves these lips will be a lie, because the truth cannot be told. But I notice that this unit is hung with trying to tell the truth. So since it can't tell the truth, it lies. It works too. Do you have the gift of desperation? Have you received that yet? Have you suffered enough? I mean, if you're just getting into non-duality now and you're at a curiosity stage, then my suggestion for you is get the hell out of non-duality. Find out if you can. That's the key, is finding out if you can. Because a lot of times we think we can quit. I had that sense over here. I tried to quit seeking several times, and I noticed it was impossible. That I would quit. I'd make a decision to quit seeking, and then the next thing I know, this body would be sitting in a chair reading a book, or it'd be out meditating or doing something. It was just convinced that it had to do something to bring realization about, and that's a lie. It doesn't mean that unit doesn't have to walk down a bunch of blind alleys before it finds the highway to freedom, but it does mean that not the one who's really hearing this, but the thing that thinks it's a person hearing this, that one's got to go. That one's got to go. And you can't let go of that sense of separation, that sense of a personal me, that sense of self-will. You just can't let go of that until you have to. Now, for me, I'm not trying to give you misfortune or anything. I will tell you that for me, it was a long, long way down. I mean, I just kept. I would hit rock bottom, and I would find a trap door, and I would go on down another level, and then I would find a trap door, and I would go on down another level, and I would hope that was rock bottom, but it never was until it was. But I was at such a low point at that time, because even going to the park was not, even living in a park as a bum. In case you haven't heard my story, 20 years ago, I was a homeless derelict, a drunkard in the bushes of a park in Portland, Oregon. And that wasn't enough to bring about a surrender of ego. Now, the awakening had already happened one time, but ego, so to speak, by which I mean these patterns of Fredness, that when I say ego, I mean I want, I must have, I can, I need. That's what ego is. It's all these things that are crying out. I want, I need, I must, all of these things. That's what ego is. But it's not like it's a solid thing somewhere. It's just a way of speaking about patterns, right? It's all about patterns. It's all about patterns. Years before I woke up, I told Betsy, if I ever do wake up, it's going to be all about patterns. And I showed her this. And when I woke up, sure enough, I was right. It was all about patterns. I just didn't know who it was all about patterns for. I thought it was going to be all about patterns for Fred, but it wasn't. It was all about patterns for awakeness. Because see, Fred never woke up. Fred never will wake up. If you think you're an entity, a separate entity, you ain't never going to wake up either. But that doesn't mean that unit can't become a functioning pipeline for a conscious awakeness. It still can. It's just, you'll find out that it's not the one who you think you are if you think you're an individual right now. Because if you think you're an individual, you are insane. You may be very nice, you may be very good, we maybe could use thousands more just like you. It would improve the world, it would do this, it would do that, but you're still insane. See, I'm not insane. That's the difference between you and me, if there's any difference at all, would be that over here, there's a certain clarity, and over there, there is a certain cloudiness. Can't be avoided. There is that cloudiness is not your doing, and it ain't gonna be your undoing, right? It's just, and the cloudiness, this is how the cloudiness goes. Everything sucks and I'm right. That's Fred's world. That was Fred's world. Everything sucks and I am right. And I am the exception. I'm the smartest. I'm the best. Except for the when I'm just a piece of shit around which the world revolves. Fluctuate, yin yang, right? I was worse than you or better than you, but I was never ever going to be average, right? Average was just like an affliction for me. I just looked like it was just awful, like it would be fatal. I just didn't want to be average. But of course, the only problem was the fact that I was average. And the only reason that this teaching is any good to you, if it is any good to you, is because there's an average guy living an average life over here. It's, I'll say it's an average life with a lot of weird stuff going on, but it's still an average guy and it's an average life. There's nothing special about this unit. Don't think this unit's different from yours. It's not. Don't think that this unit was born to wake up and you weren't. That's not true. Don't think that this unit just got, a gift from heaven. That's like I've told you before, those things happen, and I don't know how else to call them, but gifts from heaven, but they're not given to anybody. It's just awakeness speaking directly to awakeness. These people who wake up without the suffering, it's just awakeness. Gives itself a real surprise. It's like, I mentioned it before, it's kind of like awakeness is a flasher in the park, right? And I have a guy who was just sitting at his desk and all of a sudden, whee, right? What do you think of me now? And awakening, it just showed itself fully and he woke up. And he's doing real well. And I have a wonderful woman down in Colombia, South America, and I can't remember exactly how hers worked, where she was walking around or what. I can't remember, but I see her regularly, so I'll find out. But she just got it, it was just given to her. And I have a friend of mine who's very clear, and he woke up not initially through me, but initially through drugs. How about that? That's not supposed to happen, is it? That can't happen. That shouldn't happen, but it did. See, it happens as it happens. And it happens right here, right now, as it is. That's the part we just can't bite off, is that as it is. The gift of desperation is when you say, I'm not gonna wake up soon. We just quit saying that. Just tell yourself, I'm not gonna wake up soon. I'm not gonna wake up soon. I'm not gonna wake up soon. Because if you can become convinced enough that you're not gonna wake up soon, you have half a chance of waking up now, which is the only time you can wake up. You can't wake up now, love. You just can't do it. Because there's not anything but now. And there's no one over there to wake up, so it's really awakeness. And this would be one of the things about this backwards teaching, is that I noticed that a great many teachings that the people go see the teacher because they believe they're individual units, and they're going to see a wise individual unit that is going to give them the information that they need in order to also become wise units, right? And it's not that way at all. I don't work with units. I don't have but one client. That's me. I can't have more than one client because there's not anything but me. But I know this going in, and I know it clearly, and I know it now. I am awakeness, and I work with myself. This is the backwards teaching. I'm not trying to beat through. I mean, where I'm trying to just got to wake up the Bob unit or the Mary unit. Oh, hell no. I wouldn't get out of bed if I had to wake up a Bob or a Mary unit. All I have to do is wake myself up over there through that portal, if you will. That's kind of like what these bodies are. Well, you know, the portal, you can call it a portal, you can call it a virtual, it's like a virtual suit, like a virtual helmet. It's got virtual gloves. These hands are virtual gloves. This head is a virtual helmet. These are virtual boots that I'm wearing. And when I wear all this crap, I experience a virtual reality that you and I, normally call reality. But it's just a virtual reality. And when if we get ourselves a VR thing and all that, right, the helmet and all that stuff, or the goggles, then we're having we're experiencing a double virtual reality. We're experiencing virtual reality experiencing another virtual reality. It's just crazy. I can't help it. I can't stop it. So you have to be willing to give up that sense of separation. Well, actually, stop. Not true. You don't have to give up the sense of separation because you can't give up the sense of separation. It's just built in. That's the way that we are hardwired, and it's not a mistake. But in order to wake up, you have to give up the belief in separation. That's what I help people do. I help them see that what they think is just not true, right? And it's amazing. Once you see what's not true, the truth just shines on, right? I had a client in satsang today. It was his first satsang. He and I woke up together Friday, so to speak. It was great because this guy, you could see, had been around non-duality a long time. He knew everything I was telling him. We were going through it, and I figured that rather than him to think that I didn't know, I just told him, so I know already that you know everything that I'm telling you. But see, the problem was he didn't know who knew. He didn't know who. He thought he was a Michael. And there is no Michael. And he came to see that there was no Michael. And the thing that comes to see that there is no Michael is not a Michael. No. The gift of desperation is when you quit putting this thing off. It's when you quit saying that I'm going to wake up tomorrow, because you've been saying that for 40 years. So why, or 10 years, or 20 years, or 5 years, whatever it is. Let's just notice it has not happened. And it's not going to happen. It's not going to ever happen soon. Right? Man. I mean, I get with people who've just been in this for decades. But for decades, they felt like they were going to wake up soon. And I'll bet you do. I'll bet you feel like you're going to wake up really soon. You know, the first time I ever meditated, I can remember right now, it was in the basement of a newsstand bookstore where I was working. And I had a little office in the basement. And I lit myself a candle, and I crossed my legs, and I closed my eye. Well, actually, I kept my eyes most of the time because I was staring at the candle and thinking, if I stare at this flame, I'm going to wake up here pretty soon. I'm going to be enlightened like Gandhi, because Gandhi was my hero at the time, and is still one of my heroes. I got a little statue on him right over there. Great guy, great soul. That's what it means. Is Mahatma Gandhi means the great soul. Mahatma. This is the great soul talking to the great soul. This is the only soul talking to the only soul. Please, there's one thing going on. There's not 7.5 billion souls going on here. Or do dogs have souls, or do cats have souls? Cats and dogs and people are no different. They're all the same. But I know nothing of souls. Nothing whatsoever. I know nothing of life after death. I had someone write me this week, I think it was on YouTube, and they said, so what are your teachings on life after? No, they sent me an email. What are your teachings on life after death? And I said, my God, you don't even know who you are in this life. What are you worried about the next one for? And that's the truth. But that's what we want to do, because see, I get enough information, I'm going to wake up here very soon. But it's not about information, it's about desperation. Have you suffered enough yet? Or do you need more? Man, if there seems to me that there is some influence in this. I can't say that this is true, but I can't say it's not true. Because I know it doesn't fit with non-dual philosophy. I understand there's no self-will. I understand there's nobody here. I understand that as well as anybody in the world. But there still appears to be some influence. Why would I think that so strongly? Well, hundreds and hundreds of people have come here, and it appears like they did, that they came here, like they did something, and that they got with me and they woke up. So I know you can't do anything, but it still looks like you can. Within the dream, it plays out that way. It doesn't mean it's all part of the dream. That's fine. But you cannot try to live by no knowledge of the dream and how it works and what's right and what's wrong and how enlightened people will act and what they'll do. I told a client this week, did you know that enlightened people fart? I think it shocked him, right? Because but it's true. See, just a guy, just like you, or just a woman, or just a man, another average person. But there's something about you that's not in the least bit average. There's something about you, there's something in you that is just, I'll just forgive the languaging. All you non-dual police. There's something about you that is so sublime, so magnificent, so awe-inspiring, so stunning, that it can't even be talked about. And I can't scratch the surface with those words I just told you. You're it, and there's only it. What can it say about it? What would be the point? There's really no point. We just notice that you can't not be here and I can't not be here. And I hope that you've suffered enough. When you've suffered enough, go out and find yourself an authentic teacher, and I ain't the only one. There's some other authentic teachers out there. As a matter of fact, there's plenty of authentic teachers. I don't know how many of them are actually freeing people, but there's a lot of authentic teachers out there. A lot of people that are awake and somewhat clear to reality. Maybe not very, very clear, but they're clear enough to be extremely helpful until they're not. And when they're not, find something else and do that. Be desperate enough to do the desperate thing, to take the desperate measures. And you can't avoid awakening. That's the truth. Thanks for watching. Great to see you. Great to be with you. Love you. Bye-bye.